Oompa, oompa, oompa-dee-doo. I've got a thing or two to say to you. Oompa, oompa, oompa-dee-doo. Hello, my name is Robert Pembroke. I thought I'd tell you the story of Moby Dick, just briefly. It's a story about a huge whale that gets into fights with ships and eats the ships, things like that. I'd tell you about that story that was written by one Herman Melville in the 19th century. I believe it was 1851. So the story commences in the storytelling of one Ishmael, who describes to the reader, being me, about an epic battle by a bitter and vindictive captain called Ahab. And he goes into a frenzied desire to kill the sperm whale that had been reputed to attack ships. So Ishmael recounts how Captain Ahab is circuiting the Horn of Good Hope, the Cape of Good Hope, yeah? And a very famous cape. If you could pass the Cape of Good Hope safely, then your ship was okay. That was the thinking back then. And it is there, in fact, on the Cape that he encounters the huge whale that he wishes to hunt. So says Ishmael. It reminds me of the story of Jonah and the whale in the Bible. However, there are other equivalents in texts that predate the Bible, the modern version, yeah, of Jonah and the whale, that also have a similar story to tell. Herman Melville himself developed the story, as I said, in the mid-19th century, and in the lead up to the story he travelled extensively to refresh his imagination about landscapes, whales, and what they were all about. And he recounted this really interesting story in his biography. He said, "I heard of an Inuit Indian squaw in Alaska near the twilight zone of the igloo, who simply lived alone on the ice pack all of her life, without the opportunity to have a child of her own. She prayed to the moonlight howl of the Arctic wolf to no avail. Childless she remained. There wasn't even the sign of Hermes, you know, the mythological Hermes, in the smelly vial of a rotten sperm whale corpse to warmth the cockles of the imagination about the possibility of love, however much she sang the sonnets of a wayward, sanguine soul. She often cast her gaze down at her Ugg boots, moccasins, yeah? Incredulous to her fortuneless and faithless existence. Then one day a man named Herman Melville wandered across the ice floe and arranged to meet the Inuit squaw. He told her of his intentions to research the Arctic whales as inspiration for a novel he planned to write. How should I title the novel? Herman Melville asked the squaw. Why not call it Moby Dick? She replied while pointing with her finger at the smoker's pipe of Mr. Melville. He was in orbit over the idea. Eventually, there were a few changes to the novel label before he then settled on the title we all know of as Moby Dick. Excuse me. Pepsi. Yeah, so the story figures the whale is huge. And in fact, if you've seen images, the scale of a whale, like a sperm whale in comparison to, say, a humpback, which is a huge whale, the humpback looks like a tadpole in comparison to the sperm whale. They are really big. And it kind of reflects the emphases in the nature of scientific reason in the 19th century, that the adversary in life would be a huge whale, the sperm whale, whereas in comparison today in the scientific method, when we want to control existence, an element of it, we look for little things, don't we? We look in the nature of, say, chemistry within the quantum mechanics, or indeed earlier classical forms, the nature of gases and solids and liquids in, say, the work of Professor Boyle. We always look for something tiny these days, don't we? But back in the day of Herman Melville in the mid-19th century, one looked at big things, because if you control the big things, then maybe you control the little things. However, today it's the opposite, isn't it? It's sort of like an upside down cake where little controls big things, or we think, or maybe it doesn't, but we think it does, yeah? So that's the story of Moby Dick and how it relates to the nature of human thoughts about what is important, say in scientific reason, yeah? Now, what I thought I'd tell you is a little technique that Herman Melville, the author, used to develop his understanding of narrative, storytelling, and the design of a story, yeah? And that technique is widely used today and was back then. It's a technique called the empty chair technique. It was and is a very famous technique of the psychoanalytic movement, especially in the latter part of the 20th century. It became quite prominent. So I thought I'd sing for you a song that should describe to you the nature of creativity and inspiration within modalities of narrative and self-talk. The song's called Empty Chair Technique for Free. It's a very famous old song. I hope you enjoy it. So here's the song. Hello, Robert Pembroke, Empty Chair Technique for Free, Indigo Acoustic Roll. Hey, hey, Monterey, I'm trying to think of something about strife, or maybe think about awareness of the greys mixed in twixt of blacks and whites. Picasso opening, and the bus flings done are honestly Henry Fording to help me think of life less seriously. Oh, Jerry Seinfeld, all you see, LA, it's only life after all. Yeah. Oh, the dog bells are buzzing through our come naturally, call off beat, and the limelight makes steer a course that only the buzzing may see. Hiring cobs fleas, popping into my face creates so good fantasy for dear me. I gave it away my chips eyesight flamboyantly. Mr. Rafferty, I'm crawling on all fours just to see a fall to be free. So I have this void, this emptiness, this vacuum in my thoughts, and I have to fill it with other thoughts, and I have to empty it again. How do I do that? What do I do? That's a tough one. I went to a movie, I read a magazine, or just beside the TV, the newspaper I did read. In absence I am defined, timely unsaid reminds. Stanislas in a Brechtian filmography. Yeah, so Alex Baldwin's Bottoming Crux of the Tree, yeah? Life deals out the playing cards, not me. Voila, we all build a house of cards, don't we? And it gets knocked down again and again, Shazam. Oh, the Three Little Pigs story again. So, what do you do, Geppetto, with my wooden head in this Pinocchio head? Wooden mouse cut here, eyes of the sky, yeah? Così ho letto il scritto della filosofia, un patì, una cosa misteriosa. Poco, un padu, imperiali. Yes, so I guess that's what I'd do. I'd go and look at a schedule, a TV program schedule to see what's going to happen in the future. But if I don't have one, then I guess I just chicken wing it, don't I? And look everywhere for it, don't I? Whatever it is. But that's science, isn't it? Science is like stumbling. Hey, look, oh, here we go. I found something. Yeah. But what could I do, really, if I really wanted to know something? It's a tough one, isn't it? Oh, I know what I'd do. Yes, of course, that's what I'd do.
Woohoo!
I'd go to a movie, I'd read a magazine, just beside the TV, the newspaper I would read. I'm teacher technique for free. I'm teacher technique for free.
Woohoo!
Thanks very much, Robert Pembroke, the old anti-chair technique for free. So, cheers.